Good morning, boys and girls. My name is Mr. Hurd. I'm the head of Key Stage 3 History at Braeburn School. Today I want to talk to you about Remembrance Day. Why do we remember? Why do we wear the poppy? And what does it mean? Where does this day come from? You'll find out more today. So you may be wondering why we have Remembrance Day. And Remembrance Day is rooted in the history of World War I. So, what is World War I? World War I was a series of battles fought between 1914 and 1918, between the Allied powers and the Axis powers, eventually leading to Germany's defeat in 1918. But the key issue is when they signed peace, and that is why we celebrate at 11 AM on the 11th of November every year, because the peace treaty, or what they call the armistice, was signed at the 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month. The first celebration of Armistice Day was on the 11th of November 1919, exactly 1 year after peace was signed. However, after World War II, they changed the name of Armistice Day to what we know it as today, Remembrance Day, or Remembrance Sunday. Although the First World War was a fight between different European powers, it was actually a global war. And right here in Kenya, there was fighting going on. At least 1 million Africans were conscripted into the British Army, and many died fighting for the British Army. In Kenya alone, there were 45,000 casualties, and at least 13% of the population perished in World War I. A document called the Treaty of Versailles was signed in 1919 between the Allied powers, such as France, Britain and America, and the defeated foes, such as Germany. The Allied powers believed that this would be a document that would end all wars. They thought no other war could occur because World War I, or it was known as the Great War, was the war to end all wars. However, 20 years later, Europe was fighting again. Adolf Hitler had invaded Poland, and many countries got involved to try and stop him expanding fascism and Nazism all around different areas of Europe and around the globe. World War II was very, very different to World War I. In World War I, both sides were at fault. There was no bad guy, there was no common enemy. However, World War II, you had the figure of Adolf Hitler. He was seen as the bad guy, the person that everyone wanted to defeat and stop trying to take over the world. However, once again, this war was not just a European war, it was a global war. And more than ever, Kenya was at the forefront. Kenya at the time was part of what we call British East Africa, and their headquarters were based exactly where we are now, in Nairobi. During the course of World War II, nearly 100,000 Kenyans volunteered to join the army to fight against Germany and the Axis powers. At least one of the soldiers is here who volunteered. As you can see, his name is Mohammed Akida, and his name is also written in Arabic. So it was men of many faiths, of many religions, of many creeds who joined to fight together to defeat the Axis of evil. Many of these brave men joined the King's African Rifles. As we can see here, Orire Apio, okay? He was part of the East African Army Service Corps and perished in 1943. These brave men risked their lives to defend the values they believed in. This is my grandfather. He also served in World War II. He was in the unit called the Gordon Highlanders. He was at the Battle of El Alamein in October 1942 in North Africa in Egypt. The British were victorious at the battle, and it was a key turning point in Africa. Many of his regiment from the Gordon Highlanders travelled from Egypt down to Kenya and different parts of East Africa to carry on with the war effort. He was so proud of his efforts and his work during World War II that my dad is named after his regiment. So where does the idea of poppies as remembrance come from? It comes from a poem written in 1915 by a Canadian doctor called Colonel John McCrae, and he wrote a poem called In Flanders Fields. It was inspired by the images that he saw on the battlefields of World War I. I'm going to share it with you now.
In Flanders fields, the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row that mark our place. And in the sky the larks, still bravely singing, fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields.
The poem inspired other people to sell poppies to raise money for injured and disabled servicemen after World War I. In 1921, it was adopted by the British Royal Legion and is still used today. This year, in 2021, they're celebrating their centenary, which means celebrating 100 years of selling poppies. And this money is used to raise money towards helping injured and disabled soldiers who have suffered in war. So, what does the poppy represent? It represents every soldier who's been active in conflict since the First World War up to the present day. And it's us paying respect to them for the service they offered so that we can enjoy our lives today. As you can see, the African war effort, especially in World War II, was not just restricted to Kenya. You have Somalian soldiers, Nigerian soldiers, Ethiopian soldiers, all manner of different nationalities, creeds, religions, working together to deliver victory. As you can see, the columns in this enclosure bear the names of 2,400 men and women of many races united in the service to the British Crown, who gave their lives in Italian Somaliland, southern Ethiopia, Kenya and Madagascar, but to whom the fortune of war denied a known and honoured grave. Here we celebrate them. On this Remembrance Day, let us remember those fallen brothers and sisters. We will do this in the form of a famous poem which is always recited on the 11th of November on Remembrance Day.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
When you come to the Nairobi War Cemetery, it's important to pay your respects, and to do this, you can do it in the memorial register. I'll leave my name now. For all the soldiers involved in conflict, their name liveth forevermore. Thank you for listening this morning, and have a happy Remembrance Day.